Gregory. 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 Gregory, you slag!
The show is about to start. Thank you for your cooperation. Enjoy the show, and please come back and visit us again.
Can't imagine all the pain I feel. Give anything to hear half the breath. I know you're still living your life after death. Every move I make, every single day, every time I pray, I'll be missing you.
Stu, I don't want to do the podcast this week. I'm too upset. I don't really want to talk about it. Can we just skip it, please? We should have a week of mourning.
Mourning? We've just won a game we've just won at Rochdale, Nick.
We have, but what does it matter now? What does it matter now the best, most technically gifted and most hard-working midfielder in AFC Wimbledon history has now left the club? What does anything matter? Life doesn't matter anymore. I think we need a break from life for a month at least. So can we just call it a day there?
Hey, look, I think we should do, because I'm worried how you've just described a certain midfielder. So maybe we do have a problem, Nick. You need to sit down and have a rest.
But you know how much I loved Liam Trotter. You know this.
We all love Liam.
Did you love Liam as much as I love Liam?
I don't think so. You definitely had a love-to-hate relationship.
Love to hate, yeah, very good actually, yeah. Right, 9 years podcast, everybody. Stu's broken me there. I did have a love-to-hate relationship with Mr. Trotter. Nick Draper here with Stuart Deakins, and the big news this week is that, and it really is the big news, isn't it? I mean, I'm sure there are other things going on. MPs are quitting their parties left, right and centre, which was quite a nice pun actually, I didn't think of that. There's some girl that can't come back into the country because she wants to murder us all. But really, it's all about Trotter. I mean, we look back on his career with us, just under 2 seasons with us, Stu, and I think he was one of the greats, wasn't he?
The great. Oh, dear. The great. Thanks, Nick, for doing that. Put me into trouble. I'll be the next one for detention. Yeah, great. Hey, look, Liam Trotter, when he signed, was really pleased, actually. Thought Joe had a great history of clubs he played for, Bolton, Millwall. But we just got him at the wrong stage of his career, didn't we?
That's a very polite way of putting it.
Oh, I think we should always be polite about players that have graced the Wimbledon shirt.
Yes, we wouldn't want to say anything ill about them, even in a jokey manner, because we know what will happen. He's gone to America. He's joined Orange County, which is the same club that Harry Forrester went to. The news was broken on the official website on Tuesday and was not spread by social media. I cannot understand why this was. Why was there no tweet or Facebook message about Liam Trotter's departure? It doesn't make any sense to me. Surely they weren't expecting people were going to say naughty things about him.
You have to say, though, he's done well with the move. Anyone who follows Harry Forrester on his Instagram account, it's not a bad life out there. It's California, isn't it, that way? It ain't a bad life, is it? And hey, look, do you know what? For Liam Trotter, it'd be a great move. US football is a bit of a slower pace, so it'll suit his pace. And he'll have all the time to pass the ball around. They'll love him. Hey, look, do you know what? He needs a move. He's probably got decent money. Good luck to him. The great news for us is that we don't have to talk about him anymore, and we can just move on and use that money wisely.
Can I get my press pass back?
No.
In all seriousness, was he the most disliked player ever to play for AFC Wimbledon? We can talk about those that were the worst, but I don't think he was the worst player to ever play for AFC Wimbledon. You could argue that in terms of value for money he was, but certainly got to be up there. Ben Wilson's running him close, I suppose.
Yeah, there's a few players that come with reputations. I think that's how you can probably view Liam Trotter. There's a few players that come with real, reputations, and you thought would do a lot better than they did. They didn't really do it. He probably tops the list though, because like I say, we spent quite a lot of salary on him. I've got no doubt he was one of probably the top 5 earners. And he just didn't produce. But there's been a few along the lines. Ben Wilson was a lone player, wasn't it? We've had the old John Barry Bates, haven't we? Those sort of players. I remember, I don't know about a loan, but do you remember we signed, the loan signed, was it Gracioli from Barnet? Do you remember that?
About 10 years ago, yeah. Or more than that,
Scored all those goals and done absolutely nothing for us.
Yeah.
There's been a few, but I think in terms of, most recent history, Liam Trotter goes down as one of probably the biggest disappointments for signings. But, good luck to him in America, and hey, we can move on and use some of that money wisely.
Last thing I want to say about it is the article on the official website has this great line. Liam played a key role last season with his midfield performances helping to keep Wimbledon in League One. I mean, that's just a lie.
Yeah, hey, look, Joe, the club's in a difficult situation. It's got to say something. It's got to, we can say what we want, can't we? Well,
no, we can't. We're not allowed. No, we're not allowed, Stu.
We will. But, the club have got to play that line, haven't they? But let's be honest with you, he couldn't even make the squad half the time, could it? It was very obvious what was happening, and hopefully he goes and enjoys his career in sunny America, and good luck to him.
There is a tactical point I want to bring up with Neil Ardley, but I think I'll save it for a bit later on. I think we'll talk about midfielders a bit later when we talk about the results against Millwall and Rochdale in this past week. There was a lot of news this week, so we're starting with news. I know we're all actually on a proper high because of the win at Rochdale on Tuesday night. We will get to it, we promise, but there has been other things going on around the football club this week. Liam Trotter leaving with the first piece of news. Deji Oshalaja is the next one. He's going to be out for a little while. He says he's been struggling with an injury over the past month. Is this another one of those unspecific injuries that we hear about a lot?
Yeah, hey, look, do you know what? If he has played with injury for a month, he's done very well. I wouldn't say it's been obvious. When we're saying about playing with injury, we could quite clearly see that Kwesi has been playing with injury, and especially if you think back to the West Ham game, we all knew he played within himself. Deji has still been running around and stuff. So whether he's been having, he could have been having injections before games, etc. and stuff, and that can get you through. If I'm being totally honest with you, no disrespect to Deji, but I don't think it's a major loss at this time of the season. I actually think Deji was causing us more problems than what it's worth because we were trying to find a position for him. And I think actually in Tyrell Thomas and McDonald, we've got capable centre-halves that I think we could get quite a good partnership with. And we know Deji's probably going to be off in the summer. So let's start thinking that way. I think we've got more than capable centre-halves to deal with that problem. So it's not a major problem.
Yeah, you sort of answered my next question, which was going to be about the summer and whether Deji will be with us next season. You don't think he will be. I suppose this injury also solves another problem for us, and that's captaincy. Will Nightingale stepped in as captain on Tuesday night, and we think that's likely going to be the case for the remainder of the season now. Yeah,
Will's the obvious captain. Hey, look, we're going to go back through the goals from Tuesday night. I wouldn't say the third goal fills me with joy in terms of I think Will will be the first person to hold his hand up and go, he got done, and he got mugged quite heavily in that third goal. But there's not a better captain, Then again, there's nothing about moaning about Deji, but I just never believed, and I've said to you for God knows how long, Deji to me is just not a captain. But Will is a captain in every type of the word. You can have captains that lead by example in terms of how they perform, and there's been many captains along the years that have done that, even at the highest level. But in terms of someone that basically he wears, he basically wears his heart on his sleeve. He won't go hiding. He will G people out. He will call people out. He's a big lad as well, and he's not going to mess with him. But I don't think he's frightened who he upsets. When he's undoubtedly got the respect to the team, and the fans. The good thing about Will, he gets a bit of a slack because the fans won't question him because he's one of us, and he's been here how long, and I don't think you could ever question what it means for him to play for Wimbledon. Deji is not saying he doesn't care, but it's just when you've come through the ranks, there's just that little bit of extra edge to someone. And we're seeing that with Waddy. You know, Waddy said he would never come for any other club, and I believe that. And you can just see that actually there's a bit more than just winning a game. It's a pride of a team that's close to your heart.
Last little bit of news. Eric Samuelson appeared in an interview in FC Business Magazine, which is available for free online. There are links on our Twitter and on the AFC Wimbledon official Twitter, so at AFC Wimbledon, at 9YRS Podcast. Discusses the fact that he will be stepping down from his role as CEO. This is not news. We, of course, know that this day was going to happen. And the interview is... It's not one where he's actually making an official announcement like, this is it, I'm stepping down, I'm not going to be here in a year's time, where he gives a specific date. We're not counting down to it like we are Brexit or anything like that. But he is discussing the fact that he will not be CEO for much longer. I think he talks about the new stadium. He basically says he will not be, he's sorting out the new stadium at the moment, but he will not be the man delivering the future of that site. He then goes on to discuss the individual that will replace him and talks about having to find somebody, saying that there are some good chief executives out there in the football world, but they have worked with different business models. And he says that whomever comes in needs to realise that we are owned by fans, run from the community. The stadium will be part of that. And he says whomever comes in. I thought Joe Palmer was taking over. I thought that was the whole point of Joe Palmer coming in. Was there not... Have I invented this?
No, I think that's what we all thought, wasn't it? Hey, look, the article's a good article. I must admit, I've been working quite hard, which I know is quite surprising for most people because I don't normally. But I've only literally briefly gone through it. But one of the first things I noticed was he's 71 years old, which is, hey, look, he looks great for his age. Let's be honest with you, for the work he's done. But it also then means about succession planning, and I thought you're right. I thought the idea of succession planning was for Joe. That was the idea. So, yes, we have a totally unique model, and I don't know if we could ever really get someone in who come in fresh, understanding the model. So surely the answer was to have Joe coming in, and then really it's a smooth transition. That surely I thought was the idea. Let's be honest with you, it's not really Eric's job to find a progression or someone to replace him. That's not his job. That's the Don's Trust Sports job to do. And yes, I think that was definitely Joe Palmer's job. So it's interesting that this has been released in a non-Wimbledon production. So it would have been nice if Eric could maybe elaborate on that. And hey, look, there's probably a time and place when we have which I hope we're going to have, is this sort of special meeting to discuss this season, because there's a lot to discuss. But yeah, I think we need to look at, he's 71 years old. We have to accept Eric is, he's past retirement age. So succession planning is so important for a lot of jobs, but massively for the CEO.
Yeah, no, absolutely. As I say, I would think maybe just a bit of clarity. I could have sworn, I'll have to do my research, someone can correct me, but I remember being in the Don's Trust meeting when it was Matt Breach at the time as chairman of the Don's Trust, who said the advertisement was going out for a COO, Chief Operating Officer, and all the literature at the time, I swear, was discussing the idea of succeeding Eric over time. But clearly not. But anyway, you've mentioned a meeting perhaps to discuss this season and what a long, hard season it's been. There's some reference that Eric says in this article about Neil Ardley and then changing management, saying that Neil, well, these are Eric's words, Neil had taken us to League One and brought us on over time, but he just seemed to run out of ideas. And then Eric goes on to say that Wally understands this club because his role in our history. Someone that had ideas for our future could not only fight to keep us in the EFL on one of the smallest budgets in the system, but also take us higher than we have been in the modern day. Interesting comments in my mind. Someone that could not only fight to keep us in the EFL, not keep us in League One, on one of the smallest budgets in the division, but someone who can keep us in the Football League, one of the smallest budgets in the system. I mean, semantics, and you can pick apart words all day long, and perhaps,
we all can do that,
we can all do that, and we can all have what we've said be misconstrued for something else. But I thought that's interesting wording. Yeah. Am I reading too much into it? Does it suggest we're still punching well above our weight currently, and actually just to be in League Two would be a success for us going forward?
Yeah, well, we are, but let's be honest with you, we're moving to Plough Lane, so we have a ground on the horizon. We have this season. It's difficult, isn't it? Because this season, we know we had the best budget and the best squad. They're not our words. That's what words come out. So are we saying then that we still have a small budget? So are we saying if it's the EFL, and it might not be what he meant, but if we're saying that we still have one of the smallest budgets in the EFL, we're saying then that we're going to League Two and we'd have a smaller budget as, I don't know, Yeovil, Morecambe, Crawley. I don't think we have a massive budget now. It's interesting. This season, normally Eric will release I believe around about January, they get the budget table in terms of where we sit. That's not been released yet. So I'm looking forward to seeing that in Eric's bit in the programme. It's always quite interesting because we do say we try and finish 4 places, from memory, 4 places above where we sit in the budget table. So it'd be interesting to see where we sit this season. But, hey, look, again, as I said to you before, isn't it? We need to have some sort of... I think this season there's been some mistakes that have been made. I think that's quite clear to say across many areas of the club. And I think it's important. You touched upon it in the last podcast about criticism and constructive criticism. I think the club need to hear it, and we need to be confident that the Dons Trust Board and the Football Club Board have learnt from Leicester this season, because they've had some real massive challenges that you can only learn. You can be prepared as much as you want, but actually you learn more sometimes from some of the mistakes you make. Yes, we all do that. We all learn. Yeah, but the EFL I think might be a slip of the tongue, because I can't believe we're going to say we've got the smallest budget in League Two.
Certainly hope not. Certainly hope not. Anyway, that interview available, the FC Business Magazine. You can find it on our Twitter, the link to it on our Twitter and the AFC Women Twitter, or Google it, basically, FC Business Magazine. It's all there for free. It's a free download you can read on your device of choice. Moving on, Stu, then. Let's talk football.
Yay.
Don't get too excited. I want to start with the Millwall game. Do this in chronological order. It's like saving up to the main event, really, aren't you? You're getting through the Baron Corbin match before you actually finally get to Seth Rollins or Finn Balor or someone. Wimbledon 0, Millwall 1, and the FA Cup run, it ended on a little bit of a whimper, let's be honest. We're basing our conclusions, I think we agree with, basically no lack of effort, no lack of desire, just an absolute lack of quality against a team in Millwall that were prepared to fight and scrap and concentrate in exactly the way that West Ham weren't prepared. Can we add anything to that?
No, you're right. And we I said on the podcast, last week's podcast, that it would be a fight, it'd be a battle. We would have to win those battles, and they would try and beat us up. And in the end, I don't think they succeeded in beating us up. And I don't mean physically. I mean in terms of they're just bigger, stronger, more physical. But the early goal destroyed us in a way. Look, you're never going to have a game plan to fight back from a goal down. So Waddy would always gone with, if we can keep it tight, stop the set pieces, stop them from scoring, we probably will create a chance. Or Mill always going to have to come out and try and win that game, because it had to be decided on the day. But the goal, it's a shocking goal. There's no getting around it. There's many mistakes. You can pinpoint quite a few mistakes. But in the end, it gave them something to hold on to. And actually, we just didn't have the truth about it is we didn't have the quality to break them down. There's no shame in that. We know the quality up front. We just don't have it at that level. Millwall, yes, they're struggling at they're struggling at championship level. But that team, I don't know about you, Nick, I think that team would do well in League One. It would hold its own big time.
Yeah, size more than anything as well. Just a massive advantage they had, especially when it came to set pieces. We were trying, weren't we, with our set pieces? We had no confidence we were going to win anything in the air with our attacking set pieces, so we were trying all sorts of things. None of them came off. We wasted a number of them trying different things that didn't work. The goal you mentioned, again, comes back to set pieces. We put everyone back in our own box to defend what was their first corner of the game. And that's where the goals come from, isn't it? We've cleared the corner, but it's just going to come straight back. This tactic of not leaving anyone up is bemusing to me. I don't understand it.
Yeah, it would have helped. Hey, look, if you look through the errors, the first error was Toby conceded a needless corner. He sliced the ball in the touchline and really should have got distance and got out, and that gave him the corner. And then, yeah, you're right, the ball went out, and I think they had one on the halfway line and two around that, and in the end they were able to get it right out to the right-hand side. And let's be honest, it's a peach of a cross. We were over that side, and it's an absolute brilliant cross. And it's interesting, a few people were moaning about who was at fault, but from what I saw, McLaughlin was the one that was picking him up and just didn't go with the runner. Hey, look, McLaughlin he might be still used to playing at the under-21 level, because it was such a great cross. I don't think he thought it. You know, he was going to be able to pick out who scored it now.
Yeah, Murray Wallace.
That's it. But it was, you know, the pace was on the ball. All we had to do was literally meet him with his head, and it was in the top corner. But yeah, leaving a man up, you just would rather give them, not for the case, you know, if you're frightened about, a few people have done this, haven't they? You know, if you're worried about set pieces and a team strength, what some people have done is actually not just one person. I've seen teams put 2 or 3 up, because their logic is that actually if we put 3 up, then they're going to take someone out of the box, and it becomes a little bit more congested and less congested and stuff like that. But yeah, it was just too easy, and it gave us a mountain to climb.
It was a great cross from Leonard. It came down their right-hand side, and that clearly was where they'd spotted a weakness in our lineup. So Steve Seddon was cup-tied. I liked the reference I saw somewhere in the week. He was cup-tied for the cup game. Well, yes, he wouldn't be cup-tied for the league game now, would he?
State the obvious.
But Tyler Garrett was the choice to go in at left wing-back. So we've sort of gone with this 3-5-2 over the past week in our 3 matches, and it's actually worked well for us in the league. But we were caught short. Now, had Terrell Thomas been fit for the Millwall game, do you think someone else, maybe Rod McDonald, would have played in that role instead? As it happened, in the end, Wally decided to go for Garrett ahead of Bartram, and that was then the half-time substitution. Pinnock could have played that role as well, I suppose, but defensively, that's the problem with all of those options. Defensively, not good enough. And Tyler Garrett, God love him, I don't think we're going to see him play for Wimbledon again.
No, I think Wally was really intent in playing a 3-5-2. It worked at Walsall. I like it. 3 centre-halves. As I said to you before, we're not very good fullbacks, so why play fullbacks? And Garrett isn't really, I think he's down as definition as a left-back, but he's not a good left-back. But he's better going forward, and I think maybe that was the idea of it. I think, hey, look, we didn't anticipate us to concede the early goal, and you know, we're saying about Millwall got the early goal, but let's not forget we at the post in the first minute, or first couple of minutes, and it could, I think the game plan was very much to take the game to Millwall, and Millwall would have to come out eventually, wouldn't be out. But as soon as they got the goal, they sat. And in the end, then we couldn't get the ball to Garrett. We didn't. It was just a totally different game. Millwall were just very confident that they could sit deep and stop us scoring. And that was, yeah, Garrett had a difficult task after that. And in the end, we replaced him with Bartram, who'd done a decent job, but we were literally just chucking everything forward, weren't we? But Garrett, it's really weird. I said at the beginning of the season that I didn't understand why we had 2 lone left-backs. I still don't understand it. I really don't. Especially when the fact we know McDonald now is actually a decent left-back. So, look, we can go about recruitment until we're blue in the face. But, yeah, Garrett probably won't see the first team again, I don't reckon.
Last thing I want to touch on with the Millwall game is because it's going to overlap with the Rochdale game with midfield. And a few tactical points. So, a lot was made of the fact that Scott Wagstaff did not play against Millwall. The star of all the build-up with his beard being dyed and all this business, and the fact he'd scored twice against West Ham, and then he didn't get on the pitch at all against Millwall. I'm not sure if we are reading anything into that other than it just didn't fit what Wally wanted to do. But if there was something I would be critical of the Millwall performance in terms of the way we went about it, was the fact that of the 3 so we had the 3 midfielders, McLaughlin, who you've mentioned, might have been at fault for the goal, but otherwise I thought had a very good game. Anthony Hartigan and Anthony Wordsworth. And none of them do Tuesday night against Rochdale, or one of them did do this, but against Millwall, not one of them ever broke forward ahead of the ball. And this was the point that everyone's picked up on. It was picked up on Match of the Day. No one ever in the box, and there's a few issues with that. But one of them is the midfielders, isn't it? If you've got 3 centre midfielders, one of them surely has got to be looking to get in front ahead of your strikers and get numbers in the box. That's how Wagstaff gets his second goal against West Ham. It's how the goal from Civic comes along against West Ham, because Wordsworth goes forward ahead of the ball. So why were they not doing this against Mill? I don't get it.
Joe, I think on reflection, I think the biggest thing was they just weren't confident that they could make those runs because the ball wasn't sticking. It's one of those things. Sometimes, you know, I always say, make a run, make a gamble, gamble that your forward's going to win the ball, win the flick on.
The flock on.
But I don't.
Oh, I tell you, I've got to work that in somehow.
You know what?
I've got a bit of a flock on.
But if you're going to gamble and get in the box, you've got to be confident the ball's in a stick. I think we saw it. Piggott didn't win nothing in the air, and in the end, the two centre halves just bossed him out of the game. So I think sometimes to gamble, you've got to have some confidence that actually you're not going to waste the energy getting into the box. And, you know, on the analysis on Match of the Day, I've forgotten now the lady that was doing the analysis.
Alex
but she was
Scott.
That's it. But she was spot on. There was nothing in the area, you know. We chucked balls into the box. But it's just the game plan, the way we set up, you know, you called it earlier. You know, every time we've done a set piece, we never knocked it high. The amount of times we tried to drill free kicks low or, you know, bouncing free kicks, we knew that the threat was it. And I think in a way, it maybe got into their heads a little bit because we were a little bit, not defeatist, but we just, yeah, you're right, we didn't gamble. And I said to you, obviously, we were standing in the Kenflo end, and I said to you, the only way we're really going to score against these is basically by dissecting through the middle of them. And we tried, but that's hard. But that was the only way we're going to really score. So I think that's my gut feeling why we didn't get the people in the box. I just don't think they had the confidence that they would get, you know, Piggott will win the ball and then, you know, leave ourselves wide open. Because if a second goal goes in, I think we feared the second because the second went in, then the game was dead.
And if it wasn't for Aaron Ramsdale, they would have got the second. He made a few good saves in the second half. Michael Felipe looked like he might be the player that would be able to make something happen. But again, it's not in the box, is it? It's dropping deeper, and as the game wore on, deeper and deeper to get on the ball. And he just couldn't.
Yeah.
It was just too much for him to do.
He was getting no ball, and what happens when a forward's getting no ball, they literally drop deeper into midfield. He's actually I think he's a better player in behind the front. A one or a two. Well, we haven't got two forwards, so it'd be a one forward. But he reminds me, you called it, didn't you? He reminds you of the Tanner that we had.
Craig Tanner, yeah.
That's spot on. He's just not big enough, not strong enough and big enough to play up against big centre halves. But if you can get the ball, and he can run at people, then, he did one, we forget, he did one run in the first half. Went through the whole middle of them and then scuffed his shot miles wide. But that's where you get the best out of Felipe. And it didn't work against Millwall, but as we know, in the league games, it might help us.
And speaking of league games, here we are, listeners. We finally made it to the bit you've all been waiting for. Yes, it is the Tuesday night victory at Spotland with an injury time penalty from Joe Piggott to keep our survival hopes alive. Stu, I told you that was going to happen. I told everybody this is what's going to happen. I put it on Twitter. It's there forever for everyone to see. I said at 2-2, I said we're going to win this game with a last-minute or injury time penalty. My exact words.
You did.
I did edit it slightly when it got to 3-3 to say, okay, it won't be 3-2, it'll be 4-3 now. But it was. So really, I don't know what everyone's getting so excited about. We all knew it was going to happen. It was a bit of an anticlimax. That was it. Job done. Game over. See you later. See you next week.
It was quite funny, actually, because we had a couple of our friends at the game from the podcast, and they were giving us WhatsApp updates. And yeah, you could tell when we scored a goal, there was a get-in message, and when we conceded a goal, there was a more, I can't say it, but there wasn't a very nice word that come up.
Watford?
And it was really weird. Yeah, Watford. And it was really weird. 3-3, and I think, if I remember properly, at 3-2, I think I looked at the league table for the first time and said, look, this is massive, and then we conceded a goal. And you felt, from what we were hearing from people we had there, you felt that there was another goal in the game. And realistically, there had to be either end. I think a draw done us no good. It helped Rochdale, but I felt we were always going to push on. But when I saw the penalty, and then I think Marco would put on their pen, and I was like, no way. You called it early on. But then I couldn't celebrate the goal because my wife had just gone to bed with my son, and I couldn't celebrate because I knew I'd wake my son up. So I had to cheer without any sound.
To use your,
That's really,
your inside voice.
Yeah, that's really awkward when you've got to cheer without any sound coming out. Didn't feel, but what a win! An absolute! It's a massive win. It's 2 back-to-back wins again, and they're not just back-to-back wins; they're 6-pointers, and have now brought Walsall and Rochdale into the. Let's be truthful, the ship. They are now in the ship, and they've now got a fight, which we've been doing for the last 2 months.
Yeah, well, we are what now? 5 points? 5 points away from safety. I mean, it really, really was. If we hadn't have won, if we hadn't got that last-minute winner, then I'd have said that was definitely game over now, because Rochdale and Walsall the week before, they're such winnable games. Okay, so we had to win them. If it sounds really bad, I don't know, because I'm saying to you, the games that they were the most winnable of the games, and we've won them both, which is good. Absolutely, it's good. But they're still games that we kind of thought points were on offer for, if that makes sense. So really, does it actually improve our survival chances? Or when we start playing some of the better teams, like Charlton, for instance, on Saturday, does it go back to the normal routine? Not ignoring the fact Walsall can't score goals and Rochdale can't stop conceding goals. They are the worst defence. I have this corroborated by FIFA. They've got the worst defence in the history of football. So really, should we be getting too excited?
I think we should be. I think. Remember, I said to you a little while ago. Let's not give up. If we give up, then there's no point, is there? And the team has shown that fighting spirit. They've been called out a few times this year, and rightly so. But you've still got to win those games. They're Tuesday night games. So we're playing Tuesday, Saturday, and I think for me, Tuesday night's wins a bigger win than Walsall for me, because we come off a real downer. We come off a really disappointing for everybody, everyone involved, and those players have been disappointed. But actually, we travelled up on a Tuesday. We went into the Lions' Den. I know there wasn't loads of fans at Rochdale and stuff, but let's not forget Rochdale beat us 2-1 at home, and actually were decent, if I remember properly.
No, don't know where you got that from.
They not beat us 2-1 at home, or was it 1-1?
1-1.
Okay, well, I thought it felt like they beat us. Fancy someone getting their stats wrong, eh? I mean, it felt like a defeat, but I thought they were a decent passing team. They could pass you off the pitch. I thought they were really good, and I wasn't overly confident that we would win, if I'm being honest, just because of that. But we scored 4 goals. We scored 4 goals away from home, and it's just the message it sends out. Everyone's on, all the teams around us have had their runs, and they've not really gone miles above us. And all of a sudden now, if we can just get to within 1 win of Bradford or other teams, it puts pressure on. It's the right time of the season to put pressure on. And Charlton, yes, you're right, it's a difficult game, but Charlton haven't scored a lot of goals recently. Lyle was out for 3 weeks, and it looks like it's taking a little while for him to get back in. I'm just hoping that the atmosphere at Wimbledon on Saturday is just an atmosphere of it's a London derby. Let's get something out of this game. It's not unrealistic for us to think we could have 3 wins on the trot in the league, and that would be an absolutely massive statement.
Now, Joe Piggott is the hero because he got a hat-trick. And we will talk about the hat-trick, of course we will. But was not Anthony Wordsworth really the star man here? I've noticed, yeah. I think Anthony Wordsworth is a Wally Downs player. I think he is working. I think they're very similar personalities. I think they'll probably get on really well away from football. And Wordsworth, we always know he had quality, but I think he's really showed it in the past 6 weeks or so. And for exactly what I was saying before, and I know I bang on about it a little bit, midfielders getting into the box and what have you, but look back at all the goals, there's Wordsworth getting in those positions. And that's how we get them. He's getting into the box for the first goal before it breaks. He gets into the box, he gets forward for the second goal, plays in Civic for the cross for Pickett to score. And then, of course, he gets the third goal by making that run, getting in behind the back 4. I think he's going to be possibly the key player in keeping us up if we do indeed stay up.
Yeah, I agree. Joe, when Wordsworth signed, I was absolutely ecstatic that we got him. Always thought he'd done well for Southend. Always seemed to do well against us. But I think Southend fans also are disappointed that he left. But then hey, look, the first under Neil Hardy, it just didn't take off for whatever reason. But there's no doubt when Wordsworth's playing well, we play well. There's no doubt about that. From a midfield point of view, he wants to go forward. He wants to get involved. He's good at free kicks. He's good with a foot. You're right. When he's involved and when he's playing well, we win. I think that's the bottom line, if I'm being honest with you. And yeah, I think he is one of Waddy's type of player. I think for me, I said to you that last week that this team I just can't get attached to. I just can't. There's just something about him. But Wordsworth is a sort of player that, you know what, if he could just get that consistency to his performances, he could be a really important player for Wimbledon. But also, he's got a certain character. He likes playing with his balls, doesn't he? Those sort of crystal things. He likes playing with his balls. Is it balls or crystals?
Crystals.
He's got
crystals.
That's it. So
crystals. Oh my God, we're in trouble again.
Okay, let's play with his crystals. But there's something, he's quite funny when he says it, because he goes, if someone, if I'd had a colleague a couple of years ago told me that, I think they're a bit of a cuckoo. He acknowledges that, you know what, it maybe doesn't work, but it's for him, it's his peace of mind and stuff, and I like that. It's quirky. But you're right. Yeah, Pickett got the goals, but without Wordsworth last night, we didn't win the game.
Yeah, and
Tuesday
night. And again, it all comes back to midfield, because Hartigan, McLaughlin, Wordsworth, those are the three it started with. I know Wagstaff came on, and I'm a Wagstaff fan as well, by the way. I think some of the criticism he's received has been a bit harsh, because people were questioning where he was for the Millwall game, and lots of people go saying, well, come on, he's only played one good game for us. I think that's a lie. I think he's played several good games for us, and actually, if you look back through his time with us, if you look at goals and assists and what have you, he's actually contributed quite a lot this season. But anyway, it's not the point I'm making now. The point I'm making about those three midfield is energy, and that is perhaps where it went wrong for Neil Ardley. And I'm not pointing the blame at one particular player here, but it has to be. We have to discuss it. Leon Trotter has left this week, and he never
has he.
He has indeed. He never brought any energy into that midfield, and Tom Sawers didn't really either. Whereas now, McLaughlin, Hartigan, Wordsworth, and then Wagstaff to come in as well. These guys are never going to stop running. It's like having Jake Reeves back, and I think that makes such a big difference to us.
Yeah, do you know what, McLaughlin, I know I said for the Mill roundup that I felt that was his man, but I thought he was arguably a man of the match. I thought I'd heard very good things about him for the Walsall game. You commented and said you remind you of Jake Reeves, the fact he was just busy, wasn't he? And what I loved about him was that he got the ball and gave it to someone, if I'm being honest with you, and no disrespect to McLaughlin, but it's like the old thing of, I'll get the ball back and I'll give it to someone better than me, or someone that can do something a bit better forward. And that tempo, it was literally one touch off, and Wordsworth will work better with the one touch and off. And it's like I said to you, Wordsworth will get forward. Wagstaff, I sort of know, I can understand why he wasn't playing a Millwall game, and I'm a bit of a different opinion. I don't think he's been anywhere near consistent with what he needs to be. He's not alone in that, of course. But yeah, it is pace, it's tempo, At the moment, I've always said, if you haven't got the quality, fine, work harder. In Wimbledon history, we haven't had the best players. We've had the players that work the hardest. And in this, Rochdale, as much as I said that Rochdale are a lovely team to watch from Parshaw off the park, there's no doubt that the reason we won the game on Tuesday night is because actually, do you know what? We basically worked harder, quicker, got the goals. If we're going to survive, we're going to have to play with a tempo that's basically better than the opponents.
Do we not need to improve defensively as well, though? Because, all right, Tuesday night was one of those games. It's a classic. It's end-to-end stuff. It's really open. Everyone who went spoke about what a great game it was. Nerves were shredded and blood pressure was really high, but it was an exciting game to watch. And I think if a neutral had gone along to that, they'd have thought, well, I spent my money well this evening. But there are still big defensive errors, and we need to cut them out. And I've done a little bit of looking into this. 14 games now in the league under Wally Downs. We've conceded 21 goals. It's not great. We're not talking Rochdale bad. Rochdale are horrendous. What are they? They're conceding on average more than 2 goals a game now in the league, which is ridiculous. But that record still isn't great. And the goals we conceded were so bad. The second one, from a defensive point of view, you could argue not the worst to concede, but the timing of it, having just equalised, was, and that's a concentration issue. The first goal is an absolute car crash. And that's nothing to do with the game being open or teams being stretched. That's not defending a set piece. And not defending it properly, not defending it was awful.
Do you know what? It's always difficult when you look at highlights because you can't see how they set up. So, the people at the game might have a better view. They will have a better view than I have, and they might correct me. But how I saw that was I'd love to see where the starting position was of our defenders, because realistically, we were so deep. So you could look at that goal and you could argue that there was 3 Rochdale players who all had a chance to score at some point in that free kick, and what the third person did. But when he scores it, he's literally touching the post, isn't he? And for my argument, so I don't know, but I think is Ramsdale at fault, because basically he should be making sure that he has all the space in front of him to come out and get that ball, because by the time the ball comes in, they're all in literally round the penalty spot area, then the 6-yard area, so he can't come out because he's got nowhere to come out for. I think I don't know where the error comes in, and whether we just dropped in. When we dropped in, and unfortunately then it became a bit of a car crash, or whether Ramsdale need to be more vocal. I'm not saying he's at fault for the goal, but you have to accept that when the goal goes in, it's from 2 yards? You could have scored that.
Not even 2 yards, was it?
Jervis could have scored that.
Whoa.
All right, you could have scored that. I'll go back to the original one.
Thank you. It is Paul, the ball comes in, it bounces on the penalty spot, Stu. It bounces on the penalty spot.
Yeah. But they're so deep, aren't they? That's what I'm trying to say. They're so deep. So why are they so deep? Were we consciously worried about their set pieces? Like they were a Millwall, was that a I don't know, a conscious thing on it? But yeah, the second and third goal. The second goal, am I being harsh thinking that Ramsdale could have done better?
Yeah, he could have done, actually, in fairness. He could have done.
It's his near stick, isn't it?
Yeah, that's fair. The third goal is a really, really bad one.
Well, the second one has loads of errors in it, because actually, when did we try and get a challenge in? We all literally were like, you tackle him, I'll drop off. And in the end, he literally comes in and gets a shot off. The third goal, wow. Yeah, the timing and how easy it was is a worry.
Yeah, just strides through. It's very, very easy now. There's going to be people listening right now that are going, guys, we won the game. Stop being negative. Stop being critical. Just enjoy the victory. Yes, sorry. We probably should be, because we did score 4 goals. First time we'd scored, it's actually the first time we'd scored more than 2 goals in a league game this season. That's ludicrous. First time we've scored 4 goals in a game since Bradford away last January.
Yeah.
It's a very rare occurrence. Joe Pigott with a hat-trick, first woman to play score a hat-trick since Lyle against Rotherham back in 2017. So, all that said, the big thing, Joe obviously takes his goals well. That's what Joe Pigott does in the box, isn't he? He scores goals. We've said this before. We said this early season. In the box, get him in the box and give him a chance, and he will more often than not score it, although he did miss a few as well on Tuesday, it must be said. Absolute great composure, character, whatever you want to say, for taking the penalty under the circumstances and converting it with ease. I think the big thing, as you say, is character, isn't it? That's what's got us through there, and something we didn't think this team had, but they've proved it. They've proved it in this one it was a must-win game.
Yeah, I think I must admit, I've not been too sure what the formation was. I've not done loads of. I've been busy working, so I've not done loads of stuff on it. But I think we have to praise Wally for the fact that he's brought, since he's brought Felivi in, he's started. There's definitely, he said in his after-match interview that Pigott's a poacher. So our job now is to get the ball to him where he can do that in the area. And we've obviously found a way with, if you look at the goals, top of my head I'm trying to think now, but I think they're good moves around the box. And, I think the second goal was a cross, and he got. One of the good things that Pigott does is actually he's quite switched on in the area. So you think about it, he hit the post against Millwall because he got across his defender and then got the shot in, and the keeper didn't even realise it hit the post by the time he saw it. But on the second goal that he scores, he does it again. It's a great cross from the wide angle. But the one thing that Pigott's really good is he gets across his defender, and you can't defend that. So he comes alive in the box. He just doesn't do anything outside the box. Nothing wrong with that. Gary Lineker had a England career on the back of that. But yeah, I think Wally deserves some credit, because I think we've found now a system with Felivi. I know obviously he's a Watford reject. So he's not even a Watford reject. He's probably one of their better players. But we found a formation now, and character's a great thing. But we scored 4 goals. And don't forget, we hit Wordsworth hit the post with a cracking shot, and also Piggott missed a 1-on-1.
Yeah, I think we had one off the line as well. I think McDonald had one off the line as well.
Did we really?
So, yeah. So, could have been 8-3 in the end of it, but as it was the more dramatic injury time winner from the spot. Our first penalty of the season. It had to happen. Oh, I knew it was going to happen. I told you it was going to happen. I predicted it. Funny, I didn't even react, to be honest with you, Stu. God's honest truth. God's honest truth. When I saw that it came through, when I got the message we got a penalty, no, I knew we'd score it. And I just smiled because I was just like, well, I kind of knew this was going to happen. Do you know, people think I'm crazy, right? Because I've said this on a...
And rightly
so, okay? And I've said this on a number of occasions. There is something watching over us. No one understands how the universe works. I'm still not sold on evolution, to be honest with you. I don't think you can prove it. I think there's something up there that we don't understand, controlling things from above. And they look favourably upon AFC Wimbledon. Because this always happens. Things fall for us when they should fall for us. I know I've been through this before. But this game, why I thought this was going to be an injury time penalty victory, by the way, a 3-2 as well at the time when I first thought that, was because it happened every time we're in relegation trouble, we have a game like this. So in League Two, it was away at Torquay. Do you remember that? Was that on New Year's Day? It was certainly in early January, if not New Year's Day.
Shane Long squad there.
Stacey Long, yep. From penalty spot, injury time penalty, 1-3-2. What happened last season at Walsall? Injury time penalty, we won 3-2. And then it happens again. So yes, thank you, football gods, whatever gods are up there, the gods of Alexa Bliss, I don't know. But smiling down very favourably upon us. That's all I'm going to say.
No, you're right. But what he's come in. I know you got your league stats, but he's got if you count the cup games, he's got 6 wins since he come in. I think the wins against relegation, the wins against teams that are around us is just the biggest thing. Because what is your confidence going to be like if you're Rochdale last night? What is that going to do to Rochdale? Because they're 5 points away from us. But mentally, this time of season, this is when it counts. And it's I think when you beat teams around you, you send out a message. Go, do you know what? We've done you on your own patch. You've now got to go and fight. And some teams just can't fight. Rochdale, I'll say again, lovely, pretty team, but can they mix it? Because I think we've said we can mix it now. But if I remember properly, I can't remember. We played Charlton midweek, didn't we? And when I said about tempo, if we can match the fight and the tempo that we did against Charlton midweek at home last season when we won 1-0, which I think it was before the Walsall game, wasn't it? But I think it was similar in terms of towards the end of the season, wasn't it? The last sort of 10, 15 games. Yeah. So, if we can match that, then look, you can have a bad 3 quarters of the season, but actually it's where you finish at the end of it that matters. I think it's not a negative thing, but I hadn't given up hope, but I sort of in my head I've accepted that we're going to get relegated. Now the buggers are now giving us hope. That's
the worst.
It's the hope, isn't it? It's the hope that kills you. But you're right. It's the Wimbledon story. We have to accept we do things that just aren't. It just doesn't make sense. No one starts again and gets back in the Football League in 9 years. No one does that. We did, but it just doesn't make it. It just doesn't make sense. And we got into League One against the odds against Plymouth that day. And yeah, there is something looking over us, and that's why it's a great team to support, and why we should never give up. And it's going to be a cracking last 13 games now, isn't it?
Last 13 now, yeah. And I hope it is, because of course in 2 games' time we could have lost them both, and we could be saying, all right, well that's definitely it now. So 13 games to play. Under Wally now we have played 14 in the league, and he has taken 15 points from those 14 games. So if we were to replicate that would still be nowhere near enough. We need 21 points to get to 50. Out of those 13 games, is there, what do you reckon, 6 wins and 3 draws? That would get us to 50 points. Is it there for us?
I think it is. I hate repeating what I said previously, but I remember saying, the way the fixtures look, I think I said in January some point, the way the fixtures look, we had to make sure that we were still in a mix around teams towards the sort of mid-March, March to end of February because we knew we had the Sunderlands coming up, we knew we had the Barnsleys coming up, and we get to a stage where we've got the 6 pointers. But you look at the teams that have still got to come to Kings Meadow. So we've got Doncaster. They might be a little bit flat now after losing against Palace in the Cup. We've still got Gillingham still to come to our place. Still got Bristol Rovers to come to our place. We have the games against the teams around us. It's in our hands. If we don't do it, then we're just not good enough. But we have given ourselves such a chance. And Wally's team talk now is easy. It's really easy now, really. It's just got, keep winning the halves. Teams now around us are starting to panic, because they will start panicking, because when we were 10 points away from anybody, we were forgotten about. All of a sudden now, Bradford are going, one second. We thought we had 3 teams above us that we had to get above. Well, actually, Wimbledon could overtake us in a couple of weeks. It's now how teams deal with the pressure, isn't it? And one thing that I like about Wally and Glyn is they're very calm. They don't get too excited, although Wally did break into a smile on Tuesday night. I don't know if you noticed that, Nick.
I did.
He actually went in and embraced. He actually went in and embraced the fans. He didn't do a Ramsdale, who I just think loves a celebration, doesn't he? He looks like he's won the World Cup every time we win a game.
Could we kidnap him, force him to
Possibly.
sign a contract with us for like a really minimal wage, and then have him for like ever?
How great is it though that everyone's by now seen that he was playing football in the back bar area with the little boys and that. How good is that? That, do you know what? Generally, we've got a player. We've moaned about people getting us, but I wouldn't say he just gets us. I think he just generally loves being around the place, doesn't he? He's a pleasure to have around, and just as much as George Long left a big hole, Ramsdale I think is going to leave an even bigger hole, isn't he? In terms of that passion and just general fruitcakeness.
General fruitcakeness. Have we found another tagline for the podcast? Amazing.
He's just a fruitcake.
I've got a flock on thinking about our general fruitcakeness, and that's why we can't have them on.
Can you imagine him and Bezo out on a night out?
Oh, I don't even want to think about it. They wouldn't know what they were doing, Stu. They'd be like, Adebayo Aziz going through 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper.
But yeah, and do you know what? Whoever recruited and got hold of that is an absolute brilliant one. Hey, look, it'd be nice to think that if we stayed in League One, that Bournemouth might be tempted to give them another season in League One. That would be a great reward for staying up, wouldn't it? But I think we all know, and we're all going to accept that he's going to go on to bigger and better things. And hey, look, we've seen Buckland come down to our place for Cheltenham. I think this goalkeeper's better. I really do. I think he's an England goalkeeper easily.
Talking about his passion for us, we must mention the 144 fans that went up to Rochdale on Tuesday night and were there in person to witness that. Absolutely fantastic support, and
Definitely.
Rewarded with a game I'm sure they will never forget. Comparisons with the Villa game at Selhurst Park, Ron Atkinson's last game in charge of Villa, were made. I think this one is arguably more important, might live longer in the memory for some. But yeah, great evening. We have given ourselves a chance, which is, as you said, Stu, a bit of a pain in the arse, actually, because I thought we could sort of put this season behind us fairly sharpish, and now we've all got a little bit of hope. But hey, at least we're excited for Saturday when Charlton visit. We'll get to them very shortly, Stu, but first, Charlton are the theme, of course, for Wally with a Trolley this week. We are running late, sounding great as always, so I'll keep this very quick. Stu, I've been looking at players that have played for both Wimbledon and Charlton. I've come up with 3 strikers. Can you try guess which 3 strikers I've got that have played for both Wimbledon and Charlton?
Oh, so I know, Lyle Taylor.
Obviously, that was the first one you were going to say. Obviously.
Jason Yule.
There we go.
And Sir Carl Lee Byrne.
Well done. In one, absolutely. If I was to ask you, I mean, one of them's pretty obvious, but to rank them in order of who scored most goals for it. So if Wally was buying these 3 players at the checkout, at whichever supermarket he's at this week, what was that Rochdale isn't Bolton, which I know is breaking news for everyone listening.
Well,
Rochdale is not Bolton, but they are closer together, Stu, than Plymouth and Portsmouth. What was that supermarket that used to be in the corner of Bolton's ground? What was it?
It wasn't. I don't know. It wasn't a Sainsbury's, was it? I don't.
No, it was. It was like some northern supermarket that I don't think exists anymore.
Yeah, possibly. Great ground. Bolton, what a great ground that was before they went to the Reebok.
Before they went to the
what's it called
ski
now?
slopes.
The Macron now, is it? Yeah.
Oh, I don't know what it's called. Where Chris fell on his arse stadium. The supermarket, what should we call it? B-Jams. B-Jams. They've gone B-Jams this week.
B-Jams. Wow.
I don't know if it was B-Jams, but we'll go with it.
It is now, yeah.
Okay, so Wally's gone there this week. Which player will cost him the most money for goals scored for Wimbledon out of those three?
Oh, it's obviously between two, isn't it? And now I thought it was quite obvious, but now I'm second guessing myself. Jason Ewell must have scored more goals. I'll go for Jason Ewell.
Lyle Taylor.
Oh, no.
Lyle got 44 goals for us, and Jason Ewell got 41.
Oh,
and then Carl Lieberg got 4.
Yeah, but you know what? They
space
should
of a month.
But the two against Palace should count double or even treble, or even quadruple. We're still going to get close. But, oh, yeah, so Carl Lieberg, what a legend.
I'm going to dispute that as well, because in my head I think he actually got 5. I could have swore he got the 2 against Palace, which was legendary. He got 1 against Villa in the league, I remember. I think he scored against Wolves in the Cup. That's the one I'm not sure about. He definitely scored away at Southampton at the Dell one season. But anyway, do you remember that one where the keeper fell on his backside and left him with an open goal? That's the only way he was going to score. Anyway.
Yeah, even Jervis missed that.
Jervis would have missed it. Right. If you were to go to the supermarket and buy these players, who would be the most expensive based on the goals they scored for Charlton?
Jason Ewell. Oh, no. 1 second. No, Niemann still, he couldn't score goals for us. He still couldn't score goals for Charlton. Lyle's not been there long enough to... No, it's Jason Ewell.
Carl Lieberg.
Oh, I got it wrong twice. Well,
53. But he did play like over 300 games for them, so it kind of makes sense.
Well, we signed him because he was a prolific goal scorer. Same with we signed Jervis. Why have I gone on picking on Jervis now? Sorry, I do apologise, Jake Jervis, for any...
Because Trotter's gone, and we need a scapegoat now. This is what happens. Everyone knows it. So now, apparently, Jervis is your new... I need one as well now. I don't know who I'm going to go for. Who will it be? What else can I have taken away from me? Trotter got my press pass taken. What else can I... What can Jervis taken from me? A season ticket? Can that happen?
Well, anything can happen in this world. Do you know what's interesting, though, by the way? Jake Jervis come on a 76th minute on Tuesday night, and we scored 2 goals. Just saying.
How many did he get?
None, but he was there.
Brilliant. So was George.
He had some
George
influence.
Was there.
He had some influence, even as it meant someone marked him. Actually, no, why would you mark him? Anyway, if we digress. Anyway,
if you were to add up the total number of goals these 3 players scored in their careers for Wimbledon and Charlton, would it cost Wally at the supermarket more than or less than £170?
I've got 2 wrong already, so I'm bound to get this one. So more or less than £170? Less than.
3 out of 3, Stu. It's more than. It would be... I should have said fewer then, sorry. If I said less than, that's really poor of me. I do apologise for all the pedants out there. Fewer than. No, it was more than. It was 188. Possibly 189 if I can clarify that Lieberg one.
Do you know what? When you started this, I thought it was easy because I knew the 3 players easily and I've got all the others wrong.
That's the way it goes sometimes, isn't it?
Full sense of security. Absolutely.
But there you go. That was Wally for the Trolley for this week. Charlton, I mentioned they are visiting Kingsmeadow. Let's run through this very quickly, Stu. So, Charlton are winless in their last 4 games. They've drawn 3 and lost 1 of those, and they've only scored 1 goal in that time. However, they've only lost 1 of their last 8 in the league. So there's a bit of a contradiction almost in terms. They're 5th in League One. They're closer to 7th place and dropping out of the playoff places than they are from the team in 4th. Tells its own story. Carlin Grant went to Huddersfield. They're clearly missing him. Josh Parker has come in. I mean, that's ridiculous. Josh Parker's up there with one of the worst players ever to play for AFC Wimbledon, but there we go. And they've got 3 returning Wimbledon players, not just Josh Parker. Ben Purington and his hair will be returning. My niece can't make it on Saturday. Oh, she's going to be gutted. Sorry, Charlotte. I'll get him to sign the programme for you, Ben Purington's hair.
And then, hair.
Yeah, I'll try and get a trestle. I love that word. Is it a trestle?
I don't know.
Is that the right word? A tress?
A bit of hair.
A bit of hair. Sounds wrong. And then Lyle, of course. Now, Stu, are you allowed to come on Saturday? Where's the restraining order at? What is it, 200 yards?
Never. Lyle, I'll be glad to see every Wimbledon fan there, just not, do you know what I mean? So I hope he has a stinker. I actually hope he gets sent off or something like that. I don't want to get him injured because that's not right. I just hope he gets sent off or just doesn't play well. But no, in all seriousness, he's going to be a threat. We all know that. We're not going to... There's nothing you can say about Lyle that we don't know. But yeah, he missed 3 games, isn't he? He got sent off for that ridiculous thing against Accrington. He got sent off, and then obviously they got, as I say, got rid of Grant. They didn't replace him well. Josh Parker was decent for Gillingham, but there's a difference from playing for a relegation team not expected to win each week to going to Charlton, who really are going to going for automatic promotion if they can. I think it's a great time to play Charlton. I really do. I think it's a great time to play them. They're not the prolific threat up front that they were. Yeah, and Perrington, I don't know. I said to you before, I didn't think Perrington made great waves. He wasn't bad, but I didn't really get. He just was average. He was just
there. He was just there.
I said you could walk past you and you miss him. He just didn't really make impact. The left back. The irony is, when we lost on Jar, we thought they've done us. We've been absolutely sold down the river. We would all now probably quite comfortably say that Seddon is a better left back in terms of just generally going forward. He's very, very good and plays with a bit of passion and won a great penalty on Tuesday night. So I think actually we've got an upgrade on our left back, which I didn't think was going to be the case when Perrington jumped ship. Yes, he did. He jumped ship in January.
So a prediction then for you, Stu?
I'm going to go for a 1-0 win.
A repeat of last season. I will go for a 0-0 draw because I've not done that for ages. And I miss doing that. So, yeah, 0-0. Still be a good point. Anyway, time to round off the show, really. Ladies' team defeated in the League Cup on Sunday, 3-0 away at Loughborough. But back in action, in league action, Carl Shilton, 2 o'clock this Saturday, they host Luton Town Ladies. So absolutely, if you can, make your way down there. Support the ladies of Wimbledon before anyone makes any jokes. Oh, who are you going to support? Anyway.
I wasn't going to do that, but...
I get it every time as if it's like people say it as if it's the first time I've ever heard that joke. It's like, yeah, great.
By the way, did you say Saturday or Sunday? I thought I heard you say Saturday.
I meant Sunday for the ladies.
Yes. Just thought I'd just check to make sure it's Sunday. But yeah, do you know what? The ladies definitely need to get a win, don't they? Because they've had some really tough games recently with Cups, haven't they? So hopefully they get back to winning ways very soon.
Absolutely. Music quiz this week, just the 2 respondents. They correctly identified Jimmy Nail, 8 No Doubt from last week. That was Urondong at Style Dragon and Chris Draper, whoever he is, at CDrape01. Urondong asked me about the game. He said, when coming up with the games for the podcast, do you think of the name of the game first or the overly complicated game rules / structure? The name comes first. We work backwards. So in the history of the game, we always come up with some stupid pun or some stupid name and make it work somehow, or not make it work, as may be the case. But very good question. Thank you very much for the question, Durandong. If you have any questions for us at the podcast, just tweet us at 9YRS Podcast or email us 9YRS@may14.co.uk. It doesn't have to be questions. It can be compliments. It can be criticisms. It can be insults. It can be whatever you want. Threats, not so much, but hey, let's not pull at that thread. That is it for this week. Thank you very much for joining me, Stu.
No problem at all. Thanks for having me.
Updates from Charlton will be on our Twitter at 9YRS Podcast. AFC Women and Business Club this week, they are going to a bedroom furniture assembly course with former Everton midfielder Vinny Samways. Love Sport Radio this Sunday from 8 p.m. Mark Hendricks will be on there. Aaron Paul will be on presenting this week. Alexa Bliss, bag first, milk last. We will speak to you again next Thursday.